So here goes. Since I was in preschool, I had one best friend. We were pretty inseparable, all through elementary school. Only looking back through the eyes of my children do I see the power of having a best friend. It gives confidence, and because of this confidence, I was able to ignore how I treated my other peers. I had this best friend, and I was safe. In the 4th grade, a new girl came, and we all became friends. It was 3 instead of 2, but my best friend and I maintained a closeness, and I felt fairly secure in the friendships. Jump to 7th grade. The story, as I seem to remember it, was on a school bus. I was sitting next to my best friend, and the other friend was in front of us or on the next seat. We were discussing what college we wanted to go to. I had some weird notion that we would go to the University of Maryland, which I think is because I had visited Maryland the year before and had fallen in love with it. Anyway, we had always said we'd all go to college together. And at this moment, the other friend said that my best friend did not want to go to college with me. So I looked at her and said, "Is this true?" And instead of speaking for herself, the other girl spoke and said that not only that, they didn't want to be friends with me anymore. So from that moment forward, I was iced out of the friendship. If it had ended there, I would probably not even carry the story with me. But these 2 girls then went and told the rest of the school not to be friends with me and not to speak with me. Instead, they would point at me and laugh and make fun of my clothes. Finally, one nice girl decided she wouldn't let them tell her who to be friends with, so she started eating lunch with me. One day we were sitting and eating lunch when another girl that I didn't know very well came over and said, "I have a secret to tell you." She gestured me to lean in closer to her, and when I did, she slapped my face. And she said that the slap was from my friends. I was humiliated and hurt, but managed to turn to my new friend and say, "Watch out, she has a mean left hook." How did I even know this phrase? I went home from school on most days and went into my closet and cried alone. I didn't know how to explain it to my mom because I couldn't explain it to myself. After several months of this crying in the closet, my mom found me and decided it had gone on long enough. She was really good friends with my best friend's mom, so she told her. And her mother then asked this little girl to stop. I think they got less mean, but it wasn't until the last day of school, on the school bus, that my old best friend came up and apologized. I said, "That's okay, that's fine." She sat next to me, but we were never friends again. I release this gladly. I am free of this experience. I release this gladly. I am free of this experience. I release this gladly. I am free of this experience. On reflection, the thing that has stayed with me and haunted me is the notion that at any moment my colleagues or friends would turn on me and that I'd have no concept of why. This has repeated itself a few other times in my life, and I feel like I'm blindsided. I have chosen at these moments to blame this one early experience for all the others. If only I could have controlled their feelings about me, then maybe all these other moments wouldn't have happened in my life. But I wonder now whether it was me giving them the power, and I could now release them from having any power. As an end note, my best friend's mother became best friends with my mother. She was the best friend one could ask for their mother. She swooped in after my dad died and became a companion. I am forever grateful that my old best friend and I brought them together. In January, she passed away from COVID. It was surprising and swift. I reached out to my best friend.
May you be at peace. May you be free of all pain and suffering. And may the light of forgiveness fill your heart. May you feel joy. May you laugh and play. May you know the happiness of true friendship. May you know peace. May you be happy.
For me, forgiveness centers on mother and child. I was not yet 2 when my mother's attention was taken away with the arrival of my 5 younger siblings, 1 every year. It was too much for her, and nearly deaf since infancy, she then became depressed, obese, and had a mental breakdown. Though I tried to be good and helped in my way, it did not bring her back. When at 18 I got pregnant out of wedlock and stood in the doorway of her bedroom to tell her, she turned from the ironing board with a glare, then sneered as she said, "No, I'm not helping you raise it so you can continue with school." But school was my lifeline out of the boondocks. I relinquished my son for adoption and moved away from home. But 20 years later, when I found him 2,000 miles away in the Midwest, I began a quest to prove my love and commitment to him. He was polite, then sometimes not, but never fully comfortable being emotionally close. I was married by then and had another child, a daughter who I perhaps overmothered as a way to fix the past. When she grew up, she moved 2,000 miles away to the Midwest. The physical and emotional distance of my children brought pain and angst, but also made me see how much I'd looked to them to fill the hole left by my lack of a mother. But I do not need to forgive them for something that was not their job. I do need to forgive my overwrought mother. And 11 years ago, I whispered as much in her ear as she lay unconscious in the hospital bed before the nurse pulled the plug on the machines keeping her alive. Merely speaking the words, though, did not set me free. The old grievances lived on, and ever since I've worked to let them go, awash in grief over the disruptions, disconnections, and irrevocable loss. But it is just as much myself that I need to forgive for being the worst of mothers, the best of mothers, and all the while a sad, needy, guilty, angry but mute child. As I try to stop holding myself hostage for not being able to fix my mother or get my son to be close or my daughter to stay near, my head spins and my feet feel wobbly on the ground. But with every step, I sense a bit of sweet release, as if the difficulties of the past are making way for some freedom and renewal and for a better chance to accept what was received, lost, and never will be. I release these experiences gladly. I am free of these experiences. I release them gladly. I am free.
May you feel loved and loving. May your heart be lightened through the experience of forgiveness. May you be free of all pain and suffering. May you know joy. May you know joy. May you know peace.
My mother died last December. I admired her and valued everything she modeled for me and introduced me to, but at the same time, when I was around her, I kept myself as distant, emotionally disconnected, and as guarded as possible. She told me every year on my birthday how happy she was on the day I was born, because she had always wanted a daughter. But when she said this, it always felt like a lie to me. I always recoiled. I know that she loved me because everyone she knew constantly told me how much my mother loved me, but I do not remember a time when I felt loved or cherished by her. I could never shake the feeling that there was something wrong with me or that I was not the daughter she wanted. For most of my life, I was told that when I was born, my father had a heart attack and my brother had started acting out. I understood it as if my birth had caused those events to take place. I know that this period after my father's heart attack was incredibly difficult for my mother. She was terrified that my father would die and haunted by the thought of raising her 2 children alone in poverty, the way she and her sister had been raised by her mother. Perhaps sensing this, I stepped into my role as caretaker of my family 6 months after my father's heart attack, as soon as I could walk at 9 months old. As I sat with my mother as she lay dying, I was aware of how difficult her own childhood had been. I was aware of all the times her mother had sent her off or dropped her off to stay with relatives or strangers, and how little my mother knew of being mothered or being the mother of a daughter. Once, when my own daughter was very young, I was planning to take her away for a girls' weekend, and the thought went through my mind, but who's going to take care of me? I knew instantly that this had often been my mother's thought during my childhood. At the end of her life, she often mentioned that she wished she were my daughter. I forgive my mother, and I forgive my grandmother, and I forgive the mothers who went before them, who were unable to value themselves or value their daughters. I release the hurt I felt each time I felt invisible or not enough in the presence of my mother. I know in my heart that she loved me as much and as deeply as she possibly could. I pray that by releasing this hurt, I will also release it for my daughter and for my daughter's daughters, and break this thread that connects the women in my family. I release this gladly. I release this gladly. I release this gladly. I am free of this experience. I felt deeply sad all day as I sat with this and these memories and tried to put my story together. But I feel free now.
May you be at peace. May you be happy. May you be free of all pain and suffering. May your heart lighten, and may you be able to feel loved and loving. May you be at peace. May you know peace. May you feel joy and peace.
My mistake was driving after taking 3 shots of mezcal with my friends. I did not feel drunk, but when I went through the breathalyzer checkpoint, they told me that I was exceeding the limit, and they took me to jail for 24 hours. In addition, I had to pay a significant amount of money. I had to call my wife to let her know, and I felt a lot of guilt. The guilt lasted for weeks, and I couldn't forgive myself until I understood that I couldn't change what I did, but I could avoid doing it again. That helped me a lot to forgive myself.
May you be at peace. May you feel loved and loving. May your heart be lightened through the experience of forgiveness. May you be free of all pain and suffering. May you know joy. May you know joy. May you know peace.
She was my big sister, a beautiful, intelligent, and talented woman. But she was also a troubled soul and turned to heroin and sex for comfort. That was ultimately her demise. She became HIV positive and eventually died at the age of 33 in 1990. I was angry at her for being so careless. I even gave her a dress to a woman whose boyfriend she slept with, who then wrote her a nasty letter. I didn't want to be responsible for my sister, and I forgive myself for that, but I was angry at her. And I was angry at her for leaving this plane, for leaving the earth so soon. And I'm angry at the medical community for not coming up with a cure soon enough, or the pills that one can take today to keep the illness at bay. I release this gladly, and I'm free of this experience. I release this gladly, and I am free of this experience. I release this gladly, and I am free of this experience. I miss my sister madly, and I wish I could conjure her back to life, but alas, I cannot turn the clock back. I loved my sister, and I remember her fondly, and I still cry thinking of her, but I forgive her. I wish she were here today to continue to inspire us all, because she was a beautiful, intelligent, and talented woman.
May you be free of all pain and suffering. May this memory be lifted through forgiveness. May your heart feel lighter. May you feel your sister's love always with you. May you be happy. May you know peace. May you be free of all pain and suffering.
My story starts with me and will end with me, but it includes others that I have allowed myself to be involved in a way that doesn't support me. This story of forgiveness really includes giving myself that permission to just feel what it is that I feel. My tendency or my issue really is that I care more about others than I do myself, and those others don't appreciate my caring for them. It feels wrong. It feels like they are being mean, unauthentic, just not receiving what it is that I'm offering. And I blame them. I create a narrative around them, the other, making them wrong for what it is that actually I am doing, which is where my forgiveness begins, which is forgiving myself for giving more to someone else than listening to myself, knowing that just being me is enough in the relationship. Just being me without going over there to make sure they feel something that only they can feel. And that forgiveness starts with me, forgiving myself for losing myself to another, gaining that grounding, that sense of being, so that I can be with another without trying to make it different. Just love them the way I would love myself. Love myself, and I can love another. So I forgive myself for overextending, for giving from a place of fixing and wanting to make it different for another, when in essence I forgive myself for not allowing myself just to feel what I'm feeling so I can be there for another. I'm releasing this gladly, and I'm free of this experience completely, knowing that I can love myself, and in doing so, I can love another just as they are.
May you be free of any obligation to care for others. May you care for others with a full and open heart. May you love yourself as much as you love others. May you be free of all pain and suffering.
America. All my parents ever wanted was an opportunity and a chance at a better life. For their daughters, their family. I cannot begin to name and trace all the wrongs we have experienced as an outcome of the history of wars and battles you brought into our country. How you conquered our nation and claimed it as yours, divided us, killed our people, took us as captives in our own land, stripped us of our being, and our ancestors passed on to us their spirits broken from your greed and intolerance. My family still struggle as they dream a life for themselves in your America. Life as an American in your America. To be American in your America. I remember seeing the faces of the people I love, once happy in our homeland, but coming here, their faces withered from long hours of working underpaid. My father had 3 jobs. My mother worked in the factory cleaning floors. My sisters, 17 and 18, both worked at night while going to school full-time. Then I saw America as a place of deprivation, oppression, and void of love. I hurt for my family. I wish them every night a better life. To be stripped of the ideas and ideals that you have convinced they should aim for, America. You erased our past. You want to give all of us a future to look forward to. I am not sure how to forgive this history, America. If I could ever forgive you completely. I have nieces and nephews now. A circle of friends and loved ones that have grown since my time in America. From the experiences that I share with them, my heart and my body rebuilds itself slowly, and I release some of the pain. I release some of the pain from the tragic history you brought that have impinged our lives. I tell myself, although so painful and hard, I want to release this pain gladly. I release this gladly. I want to release this gladly. I release this gladly. I release this gladly so that I am free of this experience. I am free of this experience. I am free of this experience. I am free of this experience.
May you know peace. May the lightness and joy that comes through forgiving lift your heart. May you forgive all that has occurred. May you be happy. May you be free of all pain and suffering.
Well, look, I mean, I feel like I've been wronged just by being born in this world, right? I mean, why couldn't I have been born or manifested or whatever on some other planet? You know, like where kindness and love and beauty prevails over greed, fear, and hate, right? I mean, why can't my consciousness be part of a more gentle or nurturing creative force? Why have I been cornered in Earth? Why have I been cornered here into hanging my survival on brute force? And, you know, how do you forgive those people who gave up God to gather gold, or the men at the country club where the weapons of war are sold. And woe to the men who made the night more than dark and more than cold. Yeah, the ones who have murdered, raped, and stole. Yeah, woe to the men who made the night more than dark and more than cold. I mean, maybe I have to forgive them, right? I mean, shouldn't we all have peace in our lives, right? I mean, it's not written anywhere that we are guaranteed peace, but I think that's something we all would like to have. And you can only have peace through forgiveness, it seems. I mean, to forgive in order to have peace, then I suppose I would have to forgive all these men I just mentioned. And it has to be sincere, right? I mean, forgiveness can't be token. It can't be a gesture. It has to be a feeling, an honest, real feeling. So you can't just say, I forgive you, unless you mean it, right? So now, I'm not about to advocate for any goddamn fucking religion, okay? But I was born into a Christian family. And because of that, I was exposed to this character called Jesus in the Bible's New Testament. It's a big, complicated story, and I'm sure everybody's heard bits and pieces of it. But one of the things that this guy said, or he's attributed to have said, because after all, it doesn't matter if Jesus even existed or not. It doesn't even matter. I mean, did Batman really exist? No. But is anybody going to save us from the Joker besides Batman? No. So, so Jesus, Batman, whatever. But supposedly this Jesus character said, love thy enemy, right? So there you have it. The heaviest thing ever said in the history of humanity. It's even bigger than to be or not to be, right? Love thy enemy. I mean, you've got to be kidding me, right? How do you do that? How do you love your enemy? And if you don't want to go with the Jesus thing, maybe all you need is Love by the Beatles. You could say the Beatles told you. So the next question is the last question really would be, how do you love something that has hurt you or that offends your values, right? How do you love something that's hurt you or offends your values? Well, because love is the answer, right? And that doesn't mean it's easy, or is it? Maybe forgiveness and love is easy. Maybe it's the easiest thing in the world. I guess the best way to forgive and to love is just to not expect anything in return.